So, today I'm going to be starting a series called Videogames Explained, which is essentially going to be going into the nitty-gritty details on different parts of games and different technical aspects. Today we're going to be doing UV mapping, which you may not understand or have heard of before, but I'm going to show you some little demonstrations, and I'm going to show it how you can actually make use of it yourself in Minecraft Java Edition on your computer. So you might be asking yourself, maybe you've recently gotten into Blender or Maya, or you're just generally learning 3D modeling in some way or another, and you may have run into something called UV maps, and you're wondering, what is this? So if you ever played a video game, and I'm assuming you at least know how the polygons work, and or at least the fact that 3D objects are made of polygons. So the way that you can get an image wrapped around it is through a process called UV mapping. So I'm going to cut to a camera angle right now, and I'll show you something. So right here we have a cube. So this cube is just a cube, you know. So let's say if we have an image such as this one right here. So we're just going to pretend this is just a regular old PNG or JPEG file, and we're just going to say it's a texture of dirt, and we just want to make this on all its sides look like dirt. So how are we going to make this 2D object fully cover up a 3D object? What you're going to do is a process called unwrapping, and the name actually makes a lot of sense. So you have to find a couple of places. Normally, one thing is that a lot of softwares do this automatically, but on more complicated 3D objects, it is best to do it manually or do it automatically, then tweak it up yourself, because it's complicated. In certain parts it's okay for it to be messed up, in certain parts it's not. So this is going to be a completely non-distorted UV mapping. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this cube. Luckily, pretty good place to do this, so I'm just going to cut along here, cut along here and here, just like this, until eventually, just 3 little cuts, and then you will have this. So you have turned your 3D cube into a 2D area. So now what you're going to do is you're going to lay this 2D area on top of your image. And now that image will be on your object. So let's say, here, this is the inside, so let's flip it over. Let's see where this D is right here. So this would overlay onto here, so this would be like, essentially you'd see something like this on the image. That way once you fully fold up the cube, this pattern right here in the dirt texture that apparently has an actual D in the word dirt, because that's what I'm doing here, you would see this on part of your object. So that's essentially how it works. You would unwrap it, lay it down flat, project it on, then fold it back up. Okay, so right now we are in Blender. So Blender is, again, it's a free 3D modeling, animating, general digital software. You can even do video editing, which is actually where I'm going to be editing this video later on, but that's besides the point. Again, I highly recommend you download the software if you're into this kind of stuff. So this is the default scene, so let's just delete the camera and delete the light, because we don't need to render anything out. So let's look. This is a cube, so of course it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So we already have a tab up here for UV editing, and you know what, let's delete a couple of these other tabs that we don't need. I wouldn't normally recommend you do that, they don't take up that much space, but just for the sake of the video. So let's press tab to go into edit mode, and 1 lets you select the vertices, 2 lets you select the edges, and 3 lets you select the faces. So you can choose any of them. I just default by using 1. So you press A, that selects all, then you press U, then press unwrap. These are the little settings. You generally don't have to mess with those. So exit that, then go into UV editing. So just select all, just so you can see all of them on there. And you can see how these have all been unwrapped onto here. Let's see. Onto here, let's go over and press material. You can see the actual material. Oh, wait, one sec. Let's open up one for shading, actually. Shouldn't have closed that. Shading is where you apply your materials. So this is the base material. Just name that, I guess, for the cube we're using. So for the base color, let's add an image texture. So this image texture will be making up the base color. So now let's open up an image from here. Let's see, one sec. I have a bunch of textures. Let's go into documents. Should be, I'm probably going to cut this out. Okay, so here is my little textures folder. So let's go to wood planks. Alright, so there's a bunch of different stuff here. Roughness, normal. Don't worry about that for now. For now, let's just open up a color. As you can see, it automatically kind of just applied itself right there. So if you go to UV editing, you can see how it's applied on here. Oh, sorry. The reason you see all these little dots, one sec, because it's only showing one material on the image. And let's say, it's really annoying. I don't know why it works that way, but I'm just going to do new material. Shrink that down. So just ignore this for now. So here we can see we have our wood looking thing. So let's go on to texture paint real quick. So just so we can tell some of the sides apart a little bit better. So let's make this purple and kind of small. So let's just go 10. Let's go 1, 2, 3. We're just numbering our sides. 4, 5, and 6. So these are our sides. As you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we were to enter edit mode on here, let's go to UV editing real quick. So if you select the faces, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But let's say you want this to be number 3, and you want this one right here to be number 4. Well, in this specific case scenario, what you would do is, now this isn't going to look perfect. I'm just kind of like showing you the idea of it. I can do it perfectly afterwards. I'll show you a little trick for that. So what you're going to want to do is let's look at 4 right here. So these are the 4 corners of side 4, and they're also right here. Let's say I move these down. See how it stretches out the image vertically? So let's say I want to crop it. Let's say I bring them all around just this little top part right here. Then that's what the entire side of the 4 is going to look like. Which also means that I can take these and then drag them over onto this area over here. I don't want to have them perfectly lined up so I can take them apart. As you can see, that says 3. And then I could move the 3 over to 4. So the best way to do that would be to grab these and press S, then middle click, and then drag all the way just horizontally and scale that to -1. That way it will be completely reversed. That way you have 3, and then, oops, wait, okay, no. You have 3, and then you should have, oh, I thought it was a 2 for a second. No, sorry, that's the 4 from a different angle. But as you can see, the 4 is also reversed. So it's also not really perfect. So instead what you want to do is you want to do this, and just do again, -1, and then just do -1. You're basically just squishing it in, and then past itself, and you're just flipping it over, essentially. So now you kind of see how that works, hopefully. But there are some other things you can do with UV mapping. So let's look at these two right here, these two sides right here. So everything here is kind of messy now. Again, I just showed you how to do something, but what I showed you how to do is something you really shouldn't do, generally speaking. It doesn't really matter in this scenario. So let's look at 1, 2, 5, 6, that little line right there. What if, here, one sec. I'm gonna pause the recording and I'll mess it up a little bit, and I'll show you how to fix it and what's wrong with it, my way I messed it up. Okay, so right here, you can see everything looks pretty normal. So what I've done is, you can see 1, 2, sorry, 1, 2, then there should be 5, then 6. But that's not how it is. 5 is over here. And that doesn't really work the way it's meant to. So what you would want to do is you need to swap the 3 and the 5. So let's say you simply swap the 3 and the 5. So let's say you bring 3 over to where 5 is. We're not making it line up perfectly right now, okay? This is just, actually, one sec. 0.25 might be the right amount, because this is by exact measurements with the default way it's set up. The negative 0.25. Nope, not 242. 5, enter. And then this would be up 0.25, enter. Negative 0.25, enter. That did actually work perfectly. Okay. We got lucky there. Generally, that's not something you can do so easily. So now you have 1, 2, 5, 6. So let's say what if I go into texture paint? I'm going to draw a little line. Let's make it a blue line. Draw a little line right through here. Okay, so you want to make sure that this lines up through all the textures. You know, so you got 1, 2, 5, then 6 where it looks right again. So here's another spot where it got messed up. So what you would need to do to make sure the textures look correct is you would need to go to UV editing. In this scenario, it's pretty easy. What you would want to do is simply squish it to a scale of -1 vertically. And then what you would have... Wait, what? Okay. Okay, I've actually confused myself. 1 second here. Okay, yeah, so you want, I don't know what happened there. You want to switch to a scale of -1, and it still doesn't quite line up, though. You see this is a little bit above there, and this is a little bit below there. Well, then that, as you can see, from here to here it goes down, and from here to here it goes up. So clearly, it's swapped this way as well. So you just want to just do it like that. Do -1 there, and now it should be all lined up. As you can see, that's all lined up correctly. So now I'm going to go over some other ways that UV maps are used. So let's go into layout, go into material, let's go into shading real quick. So let's apply a normal map. Let's duplicate this, open a different image instead. Go to the roughness map. Okay, so the roughness map basically tells the computer software how rough a material is. Actually, I'm going to open a different roughness map. It's not going to look correct, but it is a good roughness map, and it'll be easier to tell. 1 sec. So as you can see right here, the image I opened up was one that I named Smudged Roughness Map. So it's basically as the roughness of like a shiny marble counter that's been, someone put their handle over it and it's kind of smudged. So this is a very easy to tell, very visible roughness map. This is why I'm using it. It's not very realistic for wood, not a very good surface matchup, but this is just so you can see it. So let's put take the color and put that onto the roughness category right here. So this color will indicate the roughness. So actually, let's go over to texture paint. So you can see the roughness map here. So if we go material view, you can see where the darker it is, the shinier it is, but where it's very lightly colored, it's going to be rougher. So let's say 2-1, and let's look at near the top right corner. This would be the top right corner, generally speaking. So it's nice and shiny over in that spot right there. Either way, you get the point. So where it's darkest, it's shiniest, and where it's lightest, it's roughest. But let's say maybe you want the 3 to be shiny. You know, you want the purple to become the shiny part because that's like a paint, a shiny paint on top of this rough wood. So let's go into texture paint. Well, first shading. So what we would want to do is we'd want to remove this, and we want to essentially transform this into a roughness map in it of itself. So a roughness map is just an image. You technically could use anything as a roughness map. So let's plug this in right here and see what happens. So as you can see, the wood is incredibly shiny, and then the number 3 is a little less shiny, but the blue is actually pretty shiny as well. So let's go and open up, turn this into a new image. So this is essentially a copy of the previous image we were looking at. But let's go into wood planks 001. This is the original. Oh, okay. Well, this is actually different. One second. Sorry, since I edited the image, I simply had to save it again. So let's go back and do the same exact process. Won't be too hard this time. So let's go open up wood planks color, and then simply make a little copy of it using that. Or is, but there we go. Okay. So look into texture paint or UV editing. Let's say go to go to the original, then go to 002. 001 is not what we want. Okay, so 002 is a copy of the first one. So let's just go. Let's go to view. Let's go to the texture paint first. So let's say so white is rough and black is shiny. So let's turn this to be completely white. So just put all these up to the max. What I want to do is let's just paint over this. Then around them we're going to paint a little shiny area from black. Then let's go to black. Nope, it's not quite dark enough. There we go. So if you look onto here, you can see how how this area right here, goodness. This is really annoying. I really dislike this glitch or whatever it is. can see on this one right here, it is nice and rough in the middle, and then really, really shiny around the one. So this is your roughness map, and then this is your regular color map. Ideally, the roughness map would be made, would be made completely from scratch and be all black, white, and gray. It would be all grayscale, but I'm just showing you this kind of stuff, you know. So that's how you would line them up. But let's say, what if you didn't want them to line up? What if this was a much higher resolution image? The roughness map was much higher resolution. Let's say much lower resolution than the actual main texture, but that would mean that you would see like pixels of rough spots and shiny spots next to each other, but you wouldn't see the pixels on the color. Then you would want to have a different UV. What you want to do is, let's say this is much lower resolution, then you want to scale this up. Let's say it has half as many pixels, so you scale it up to a scale of 2. Then that doesn't matter, let's go to 2 anyways. So that would mean that the same amount of pixels would be there. Now, it wouldn't line up. No. Well, that's an accident. So what you want to do here is you go into UV maps. You want to add a second one. So the first one, do shading. So right now we're going to need to go and add in some UV map. So that basically means that it's going to be a coordinates. Is that what it is? No. UV map. What? Where'd it go? Okay, here we are. So now we're going to duplicate this. So right here we're going to apply this certain UV map to this texture for when it goes into the color. So for this one, the UV map we want to use will just be the default one. That's what it applied to start off with, and that's what we want to use. But now let's go to the roughness. Put that into the roughness category. Move this down. So right now, you can see it should look like, let's go over to the number 1. Yeah, you can see how that's lined up. But now if, let's say, ignoring that we want to have those lined up if it was too low resolution. That was not, so it should be UV map 002. Alright, so let's go into UV editing. UV. So now we're looking at this one. Scale it up by, let's say, actually, let's scale it down so you can see it more easily. So that would be by 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Alright, then let's move this up so that way you can... Oh, never mind, I did want to scale it up. Sorry. 2, tab, 2, tab, 2, enter. Then let's just move this down a little bit so you can see that. So now let's go into shading, and you can see the little one right here in the roughness. See the one right here as well as the one right here. So this is the roughness map, which is lined up using its own UV map, and this is the regular color map, which has its own one. So that is kind of just how you get it working. Okay, so right now I'm in a regular old Minecraft world. I want to show you to get that anyway, so /give, enter your username. Mine is toucan_fruit. Barrier. So you want to build up. I mean, you don't really need to use barrier blocks. That's not a big of a deal. I'm just destroying them anyways. So now we have a bookshelf right here. So this bookshelf has regular texture on it for the texture pack. Again, one thing that's really important is that you need to be using a resource pack that is not the default one. This is one I downloaded from online. You might have noticed that these textures have a lot more pixels in them than the regular Minecraft textures do. They have twice as many pixels in them as the regular Minecraft textures. That's just part of this texture pack. The actual resolution of your texture pack is not important. All that matters to that is that it isn't the default one, so that we can change it and mess with it. Okay, so for this section right here, what we need to do is we need to find the folder of the Minecraft textures. So if you go up into your search bar and you type in %appdata%, you should find a .minecraft folder. Mine's at the very top. So then you need to go to the resource packs folder. Then you need to find the resource pack that you were just using. For me, it was the Faithful 1.8 pack. Then you need to go to Assets, Minecraft, Textures, and then since the bookshelf was a block, it would be in the Blocks folder. Now it's right here because it's in alphabetical order. So what you want to do is you want to right click and you want to press Open with Paint. You can do this with other softwares, but this is such a simple, fast process. It's honestly best to do with Paint in my opinion. And I also did it because everybody has Paint pre-installed on Windows 10. So everybody can do this real quick. I'm going to press Rotate right 90 degrees. So what we just did right there is essentially, the way that Minecraft works is very strange and unintuitive, simply due to the nature of how the game was made. It wasn't made very traditionally. It was made by a singular person who didn't really know that much about making games, but he still could code and he could still do JavaScript. So everything is running off of script, really. It's very strange, but you can't edit the UV maps within Minecraft. Instead, what you have to do is you have to, in this case, rotate the entire image itself as opposed to rotating the face that the image sits on. So that's what we're doing here. So essentially, we're doing a makeshift UV editing. So you can press Control S to save, and then gotta open up Minecraft. Okay, so we are back in Minecraft now. So let's open up that single player world again. Let's see what the bookshelf looks like now. It should have each face look as if it was rotated 90 degrees each of the outside. Oh, I just realized, if you can see already, it's changed in the inventory, but yeah, if you look up here, you can see that it's rotated 90 degrees. So, one thing that's also cool is that with what I just showed you, you can also use that to edit textures, which I will be doing a full video on, hopefully pretty soon. But yeah, that's how you do it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. So, actually, I wanted to go over one thing real quick. So this series I'm making is designed around the idea that it's designed to help people understand how their video games work and what's going on behind them, less so than it is teaching people how to make their own video games. I think that's part of what I'm trying to do, which is more so helping the curious than educating the determined, you know? So that's all. Just some cool content I'm trying to make here. That's all. Alright. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.